Hello everyone, welcome to Easy Education London, and today we are looking at language techniques. So LO1 for today's session is to identify the different language techniques used in a text, and LO2 is to analyze how language is used to affect the reader. So the language techniques that we are going to look at today is relevant for both language paper 1 and language paper 2 of your GCSE English language and also English literature. Language techniques. Authors use lots of language techniques to get their point across. They are used to affect the reader in a particular way. So for example, it could be to engage interest, it could be to create an emotional response, good and bad. It could be to persuade the reader, and finally it could be to strengthen an argument. So these are some of the ways and reasons to why we use language techniques. So the first language technique that we are looking at is emotive language. Emotive language is when writers use certain words, phrases, and imagery deliberately to evoke an emotional response from the reader and to influence them. Emotional language will usually include lots of adjectives, which will either be positive or negative. So as you can see from the images, you've got different emotions, the green, the red, the yellow, the blue, and the purple. So the first image in green, maybe year 11s when they receive the results, hopefully on results day. The second image is when your teacher sets you homework, for example, and you are annoyed. The third picture in yellow could be perhaps your reaction to an exam you did, a mock exam, and you were surprised by your result. The fourth image or the fourth emotion could be a year 11 student when they see they've got piles and piles of homework to complete. And the fifth image could be a student on results day, maybe surprised that they got a grade 5, grade 6 for their exams. Now, emotive language can have a positive impact or it can have a negative impact. So we'll start off with the positive. So as you can see from the image, does anyone know where this image is from? If you have any good guesses, leave them in the comment section below. So below the image, it reads, "Book yourself this amazing holiday. It is the best place to holiday in the world." Now, this is an example of using emotive language in a positive way because it's using positive adjectives. It has a positive outcome. Alternatively, emotive language can have a negative impact. So as you can see from the picture, you have a dog which seems malnourished, seems like it's isolated, it's marginalized, and it reads the following. "This poor dog was left to starve in an abandoned warehouse." Now, when the reader reads this, how do you think they will respond? How does the reader respond? How does it make us feel? Look at there are certain words, there are particular words that the writer has used here to have this negative impact. Moving on, rhetorical question is another language technique for you to be familiar with. So writers use rhetorical questions in order to entice the reader. These types of questions make the reader think, feel guilty, or examine their conscience. The author does not expect an answer. This is because the answer is usually obvious and does not need to be stated. So for example, do you really want to die young? This was based on the image or the advert to prevent smoking. Why is this effective? It's because it gets the readers pondering, it gets them thinking. So rhetorical questions are often used to get the reader thinking, okay? You are not expected to answer it, but again, it's supposed to have a pondering effect. Now, rhetorical questions are common in language paper 2. For example, in an article, even in a speech. So make sure you get your head around a rhetorical question. Next up, we have repetition. So writers can sometimes repeat words or phrases in a piece of text in order to bring to your attention an idea. If you repeat the same thing over and over again, it sticks inside the reader's mind. So let's have a look at the example. Quit smoking today. What are you waiting for? Quit smoking now. You know it is killing you. Quit smoking forever. We can help you. So the writer uses repetition of the words quit smoking in order to command attention from and also influence the reader to quit. Very effective, and it's something used in an article, in a speech, in a leaflet. It's even used in political campaigns and also in advertisements because it's something that sticks in the reader's mind. It's used to emphasize something. Next up, we have facts. So writers will use facts within the writing as a persuasive tool that influences the reader to accept their viewpoint. If we hear a fact, we hear truth, and therefore we trust what the writer is saying. So, for example, did you know that 68% of children in the UK are living in poverty? For 1 in 5 children, their school dinner is the only meal that they will eat that day. The writer uses a mix of facts and statistics in order to evoke an emotional response in the reader. So the author attempts to persuade the reader that children should not live in poverty. Now, we use facts, again, especially in language paper 2 of your GCSE English, to add weight to your argument. We use facts because it makes your writing sound convincing, it makes your writing sound believable. So you should try to use facts, especially for question 5. When they ask you to write an article, a speech, a leaflet, a letter, etc. So see how you can use facts and apply it in your persuasive writing tasks. The next language technique we have is direct address. So writers sometimes get the reader involved in the writing by using personal pronouns such as you or we. This makes the reader feel like they are a part of something. So as you can see from the image, we need you. So the word you is again directed towards the reader. If you look on the left-hand side, it reads, together we can make a difference. Notice the word we, okay? What's the impact of using we? The writer uses the words we and together and involves the reader by speaking directly to them. This is used to engage the reader's interest and is used as a persuasive tool. Okay, now this is important, this is pivotal for you to use in English language paper 2, direct address. Okay, because it brings the reader to your side of the argument. Okay, and you need to make sure your writing is convincing and compelling. So please remember to use direct address, especially for question 5. So we have a sample assessment question. So it reads the following. How is language used to make the property appear attractive? Okay, so you have a text on the right-hand side. I want you to pause the video, skim and scan, and then I want you to answer the question on the left-hand side. Now, the question, for your information, is not an actual GCSE question. It's just to test your knowledge from today's lesson. So in a future video, we will be going over the English language paper. But for today's session, we are just looking at language techniques specifically. So pause the video and have a go at the question. Look at the language the author is using in order to be persuasive. The author is using adjectives and positive language such as peaceful, magical, warm, cozy, and finest. So you may have written something like this. The answer uses positive language and also uses adjectives to make the cottage appear more attractive. So words such as magical, peaceful, warm, cozy, and finest. Something along those lines would get you the mark. Moving on to words and phrases. As we all know, words are used as part of speech or writing. They can be used alone or with other words in order to form a sentence. A phrase is also a part of everyday speech and is defined as a group of words. And in your reading assessment, in your reading exams, You may be asked what a particular phrase or word means. You will be asked to explain in your words or in your own words, and give your own understanding of the words or phrases. So it's very important you know the difference between the two. So we have a sample assessment question. So the question reads the following. Explain in your own words what the writer means by a flexible approach to a person's job role. So you will need to be hardworking and dedicated to your position. On occasion, you may need to work on reception to cover staff absences. Therefore, you will need to have a positive and flexible approach to your job role. Think about it. What does the writer mean by a flexible approach? Pause the video and have a go. The writer is saying that the employee should be flexible at work and should be able to cover other people's job roles as well as their own when needed. He's also saying that the job role is flexible and that regardless of their own job role, they need to be helpful and have an ability to take on extra work or roles within the company. So the employee is required to be versatile, and because there are staff absences, you may be required to do things that you are not always expected to do. So this is what we mean by flexible in this question. The next sample assessment question is the following. Explain in your own words what the writer means by the following phrase. I feel more than a little cheated. I bought a new laptop and it broke after only 2 months of using it. I was also told that I was out of the store's usual 30 days warranty and that it would not replace my laptop. As you can guess, I feel more than a little cheated by this turn of events. Pause the video and think to yourself, what does the writer mean by the following? I feel more than a little cheated. The writer is saying that he feels deceived by the company. He feels cheated as they have sold him a product that he believes was faulty and are now refusing to replace it. So if you wrote something along those lines, well done, excellent. Moving on to our next language technique, we have oxymoron. Now, oxymoron is a language technique which you may have come across before, perhaps in your power and conflict poetry, perhaps in your literature novels, etc. So we have an image, and as you can see from the signs, it states here, stop and keep moving. One sign says stop, the other states keep moving. Now, personally, as a driver, I'd for sure be confused. Okay, do I continue driving as normal or do I stop? Okay, so they are contrasting. And what is oxymoron? An oxymoron is a figure of speech that combines two contradictory terms. They have opposite meanings. So let's have a look at some examples. So the first one, known secret. Why is this an oxymoron? Because a secret is not to be known. But if something's known, then it's not a secret. So this is an easy example of an oxymoron. Okay, known secret. Then we have orderly confusion, deafening silence, confirmed rumor, and awfully nice. So if you notice here, both words have contrasting meanings. So this is what oxymoron is. So contrasting concepts are placed together in a manner that actually ends up making sense in a strange and slightly complex manner. An oxymoron is an interesting literary device because it helps to perceive a deeper level of truth and explore different layers of semantics while writing. Now, can you use an oxymoron in your question 5 for language paper 1 and paper 2? Yes, of course. Please try to use an oxymoron because it makes your writing interesting, and it makes your writing engaging. To conclude this video, we are going to play a game of guess the keyword. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have a 10-letter language technique from today's lesson. Can you guess the key word? It's 10 letters. I'll give you 5 seconds. You'll have a clue which will appear at the bottom. Use the clue to help you. Right. If you had thought for the previous one, or for this one rather, if you had thought repetition, that's correct. Okay, so if you thought repetition for this answer, that's correct. Okay, so it's REPETITION. Okay, so that would be the correct answer. The next one is a 5-letter language technique, something that you use in language paper 2. Any ideas, any guesses? Here's a clue for you. Hint: this is often used to add weight to an argument. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you thought facts, well done, that's correct. So it's FACTS. So if you wrote facts, that's correct, well done. And the next one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an 8-letter language technique. Think about it. It's something that we covered in today's session. It's 8 letters, and your clue is the following. Hint: there is a contrast. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's disappeared. If you have written oxymoron, or if you thought oxymoron, OXYMORON, that's correct. Okay, so well done. It's because oxymoron is when there's a contrasting meaning. So that's fine. So well done to those of you who wrote oxymoron. And that takes us towards the end of our video. Thank you for attending. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And for sure, remember, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like and share for more education related videos. Thank you.